Assalamualaikum everyone. At first I introduce myself. This is Rezvi. My student ID is 2111137129. Today I am going to discuss about the last monetary policy declared by Bangladesh Bank. The first discussion about a summary of monetary policy. Second, we mention significant changes compared to the last monetary policy. Third, we will know about what are the tools used by Bangladesh Bank. And finally, suggest the policy reform needed from my understanding. Now I will discuss about a summary of last monetary policy. Monetary policy statement fiscal year 25. The primary goals of Bangladesh Bank's monetary policy are to maintain low and stable inflation, supported sustained economic growth, and preserve the financial stability of the Bangladesh economy. The announcement of this semi-annual monetary policy statement outlines Bangladesh Bank monetary policy approach for the first year of fiscal year 25, coinciding with a period marked by persistent high domestic inflation and some stability in foreign exchange market. The current monetary policy approach includes several significant reform measures aimed at addressing ongoing economic challenges. This reform encompasses the modernization of the monetary policy framework, which involves adopting more market-oriented and techniques for monetary implementation. Monetary policy outlines in fiscal year 24. Bangladesh Bank implemented several initiatives during the second half fiscal year 24. Considering the multiplier effect of high employed money on inflation, during the second half of fiscal year 24, Bangladesh Bank implemented several measures on enhanced foreign exchange supply and reduced demand to contain exchange rate pressure. And second, I discuss about the last monetary policy in Bangladesh Bank has introduced several significant changes aimed to addressing the country's persistent inflation and economic challenge. Policy rate increase. The central bank raised the policy rate from 7.75% to 8%. This marks the latest hike in a series aimed at making borrowing from more expensive to reduce the money supply and combat inflation, which has been stubbornly high for nearly a year. The goal is to bring inflation down to 7.5% by June 2024. Reducing in credit growth target. The private sector credit growth target was lowered from 11% to 10% to curb demand-driven inflation. The GDP growth target was raised down to 6.5% and the inflation target was increased from 6% to 7.5%. Third, we will discuss about tools of monetary policy. Open market operation. In open market operation, the Federal Reserve Bank buys bonds from investor or sell additional bonds to investor to change the number of outstanding government securities and monetary available to the economic as whole. The objectives of OMOS is to adjust the level of reserve balance to manipulate the short interest rate and the affect other interest rate. The central bank may change the interest rate or the required collateral that it demands. In the US, this rate is known as the discount rate floor. Banks will loan more or less freely depending on this interest rate. And finally, we suggest effective policy reforms. It's important to consider several areas where policy improvements can have many meaningful impact. Here are some broad categories which suggest reforms. Economic policy, tax reform. Simplify the tax code to reduce and ensure fairness. Potentially introducing progressive taxation to reduce income inequality. Minimum wage. Adjust the minimum wage to keep pace with the inflation and the cost of living, possibly introducing regional adjustment based on local economic outcome conditions. Healthcare policy. Universal access. Move toward universal healthcare coverage to ensure all citizens have access to basic healthcare service. That's about my discussion. Thank you all.